Fans of the Horus Heresy and Warhammer 40,000, thank you very much for joining me for a how-to short. This is a follow-on video to the demonstration I did of how to bore out the barrels on a Primaris Space Marine bolt rifle. And just that was doing it as a general demonstration of how you can go about enhancing the detail of your models in this way. So in the comments section, Green Stuff Gaming said something along the lines of this, and several other people have commented to me like this in various videos I've done. So I've done quite a lot of videos where I've drilled out barrels on various models, and it goes something along the lines of this: I'd love to do it, but I'm worried that I'm going to break my models or spoil my models drilling their barrels out. And that made me think it'd be a good idea to just show you a little trick for practicing the technique of drilling out barrel boring without actually risking your expensive nice models. Great thing about this is it uses stuff that you're going to have anyway if you're a modeler and a wargame model builder. And the trick is very simple really. And we're going to stick with our friends at Primaris Space Marines. So here is one of the sprues from the Primaris Space Marines. And you can see that across the sprue we've got these vertical posts, and these are cylindrical. So these are perfect proxies for barrels in effect to drill out. And if we just get another one of these sprues to look at, and then if we have a look at this one as well, you know, you got loads more, and actually some of them are on this. Actually, I think we'll use this one because these are deeper, these are taller. So yeah, let's use this one. Likewise, if you build resin models, you get the gates that come with the models, and these are from, I think these are from Ixion Hell that are built a few days ago. And you can see that these are all cylindrical, and again they're of varying diameters, so these are perfect candidates to test your skills at drilling a bore out before you actually apply it to your valuable miniatures. All I was going to do is just do a couple of quick examples. A couple of tools that if you're going to get into drilling out barrels, are well worth considering. Now this one here, so this is kind of like a metal spike. It's called a bradawl. You might have different names that you could call them, but essentially it's a metal spike, and you can get some screwdrivers which do this. It doesn't matter what it is as long as you've got a nice fine point on it. And what you use this for is making a guide hole with which to start purchase with your drill bit before you drill, because with resin and particularly plastic, it's easy to slip when you're sort of starting your hole off unless you have a guide hole to just pull the drill bit in. That's the first tool. The second tool, we've got two pin vices. So we've got this one here, and then we've got a slightly wider bore one here. So these are just for different drill sizes, and then I've got a selection of different drill bits. These are dead easy to get hold of. eBay is a great place to get them. Get them in larger sets. I mean, I bought this sort of set from my local model shop, which are very handy. You can see you get loads, and it's useful having a good few, because if you're anything like me, you're going to break some. And they only last so long anyway. They suffer from metal fatigue, and then they eventually break. I don't know, maybe if you buy very high quality ones, you get a longer lifespan out of them. So let's start with the plastic first. All right, where's a good point? Which one of these shall we drill out? Which one of these posts shall we select? Well, I'm going to do this one down here so it's nice and accessible. So we'll take our bradawl spike. I'll just clear some of the tools out of the way first. Right, so take our bradawl spike, and we're going to try and get a hole about central on this bit here. Right, so without being particularly careful, I've just marked that in. Now you can see that that's off center, and it's sort of, if you can imagine this as a clock face, 12 going all the way round. It's a little bit off, and it's maybe pointing to 10 o'clock. So, but that's easy to put right, because you can just take your bradawl or your spike and just push it in again, and just sort of increase the depth of the hole a bit. And in the process of doing that, just centralize it. And there you go, easy peasy. That's nice and central now. If you want, you could then take a knife, like so, and just cut the lip of material away, so it's nice and flush. Here we go, we've got a drill bit. I've just used this drill bit because this is a nice sharp one, and new sharp drills work best on plastic. Give this a go then. So I've located the drill tip into the guide hole, and then it's dead easy. You can see how I've just started turning that, and straight away I got purchase, and off it goes. So that's the first thing, getting the hole started. That guide hole is all important, and also, as I say, a sharp new drill or a good quality drill that is going to keep its sharp edge is also important, particularly on plastic, because plastic doesn't like blunt drills. Right, so then in terms of drilling, well, I guess the general principle is you need to keep it straight. So the way I do that, and by straight I mean keeping your hole going parallel to the sides of the post or the barrel, the post in this case, but the barrel when you're working on a real model. And the way I do that is I'll do a few turns and then I'll stop and I'll rotate my sprue. I'll line it up again, I'll make sure I'm lined up, and then I'll do a few more turns. Keep taking material away so you can see the guide hole that you're working to. I'm not doing this mega careful. You can see I've gone a little bit off there. This is, as I say, this is a demo, and as you know, it doesn't matter if you mess these up. You can, you know, if you've got any, even a remotely modest sized collection of models, you'll probably have a lot of sprue. And then I'll just continue on. And another thing you can do as well, easy way to test the depth, is to insert the drill into the depth you've got to, then take your thumbnail and just position it, and then take the drill bit out. And if I can get this all lined up, you can see that this drill bit has probably gone around maybe 5-6 millimeters in now. So that's another useful hint and tip, particularly if you don't want to drill too deeply on a particular model for whatever reason. Well, then you just keep going. And the deeper the hole gets, the more you can keep going. And I guess the practice thing is what I'm really encouraging you to try if you've not done this before. Yeah, as I say, use something that doesn't matter. Use something that you can waste. I've used sprue, but there are other materials you could use as well. And there you go, just to demonstrate that. Ooh, there you go. So that's reasonably straight. That's not 100% straight, but you know, as I say, that's a great thing about doing it on sprue. It doesn't matter if it goes wrong. And then let's see, there you go. Oh, right, let me see if we can get this lined up properly. There you go. Hello. So there you go, there's an example on plastic. Now let's do one with resin, just to show. In some ways, resin is easier than plastic to work with. It drills out better. It's more suited to drilling than plastic is. You might find that if I'd used a wide bore drill on this, we would have started to get some strain marks on this plastic, and if I'd gone too wide, then it would have probably broken if the walls had got too thin. Resin is much more forgiving, and you can actually get really thin walls, although likewise you need to be careful not to go too thin, because they can easily be crushed when stored, or if you live in a hot country, they might just deform under the ambient heat. So what should we do? Shall we do this one here, which is quite a narrow post? Yeah, go on, let's try that. We've got a bradawl spike. We're going to do our guide hole. Exactly the same principle here applies. If you're off center, you just do the same thing. You just increase the depth of the hole a bit and center it up. I think that I've got it probably about where I wanted it first time. And then, so we've got our drill. So I've located the drill bit on the guide hole, and then dead easy we just start, and straight away it's got purchase, and away we go. So it really is that easy. Now another thing you can do, so let's just drill this down a bit, and then I'm going to show you something else. If you're drilling, if you want to do quite a wide bore, the force required to drill straight out to a big heavy bore with a thick drill. So if you look at this drill here, this is about, oh gosh, maybe 4 millimeters, 4 or 5 millimeters. So this is quite a big bore. If you're going to drill bore out with this, you need quite a bit of force. So one way to reduce the amount of force you have to exert at any one time is to drill the hole with a thinner drill, then use a larger drill to expand it, and that makes getting larger bores easier. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to do an example of this using this piece of resin. So we're going to drill this out a bit. And by using less force, you're less likely to make a mistake. And I guess that's the key thing with doing this. You know, as I often say, you know, when I'm doing my modelling demonstrations for you guys and girls, it's better to do things in several more gradual steps, you know, be it filing, drilling, cutting, gradually work your way to the finish you want, rather than making one big hefty cut or sanding move and then finding you've gone too far. Either you can't go back or you have to start doing filling work, which is then slow. So we've got that hole drilled. Now we're going to try increase the size of the bore. So let me have a little route through. Everything's a little bit magnetized at the moment, so I've been putting magnets on my it's Ventaris tank this evening, getting it ready for review. And yeah, there's just magnets everywhere. This is just to demonstrate how you can get thinner walls with resin quite easily. So we've in effect kind of got a really large guide hole with the thinner hole that we've already drilled. And now we're just going to do exactly the same thing and turn it out to make it larger. And that was dead easy to do. I mean, all I really needed to do was turn it, and the actual thread of the drill bit just pulled itself in and bored out to the depth I reached with the thinner drill. Yeah, that's a really handy way of doing bigger bores easier. You can use power drills and stuff to do this as well, and I'm sure they work very well. I've always found that doing this by hand has worked well for me. It's probably always a useful skill to be able to do stuff by hand. If you've got powered tools, you may find yourself without those, or you know, they can break, and you might not be able to do stuff. So being able to do it by hand is never a bad thing, because you can always fall back on doing it by hand. There we go. Get a little bit of the excess out there. There you go. So yeah, you can see how, I mean, that's slightly off centre, so it's not perfect, but to be quite honest, it's not too bad. You could actually mess around and get that looking perfectly round with a, I guess we're using a bit of key post here, so it's not necessarily got a symmetrical cross section either. That's just to show you how you can get thinner walls dead easily with resin, and how you can use a series of increasingly large diameter drill bits to get bigger bores easily. So there you go. Hope you found that useful, Green Stuff Gaming, and everyone else who's put this question to me in the past. Let me know what you think. Have you got any tips around practicing your boring techniques for doing barrels and muzzles? It's always good to share these ideas in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.